Hello again. We'll take a step more to configure and calibrate the robot. You need a Python application that we have made, Robobot GUI. I showed it in the introduction, but now you're going to install it on your local PC. So we start at our wiki page here at Automation and Control, or at least the robot part of that. And we have got a main page called rcwiki.electro.dtu.dk. And even if I remove the last part here, I will get to exactly this page. There's also links to this page in the course material. And it's called main page, and we have some facilities we're going to use. We are going to use ASTA, our autonomous system testing arena, where we will set up the track. And we have down here a list of robots, and the robots that you are going to work with, or most likely is going to work with, is called Robobot. So we'll click on that. And now we get to the page, and there's a couple of versions of how this robot could look, and you can see the one to the right is exactly as the one I have on camera, even further to the right here. So this seems like we are in the right place, and there are some installation instructions. So we'll go down to the installation instructions here, and what we need is a graphical user interface, the Python setup. It's a Python application that we need. And I'm not that good at Windows, but I assume that you can set it up in Windows, and you can also set it up in Apple computer if that's what you've got. So assuming that Python is already installed on your laptop, if not, then Windows at least will show you how to get Python. And it's Python 3 we're using, so I think that's default. I think there is a Python 4 out there, but we're using Python 3. And in 2020, this was version 3.6.9 that I can see I have written here. But I think any later version of Python 3 would do too. We're using a couple of extra packages that you need to install. And Python has got a Python installation app called PIP. And from there you can install these 3 additional packages. If PIP isn't installed, then you need to install that. I'm not quite sure how that's done. So that was the basis to run the application, but you also need to get the application. And the application is available on a version system, not Git, as you could have wished. I'm sure many of you have used Git, but it's using one called SVN, or Subversion. It's an Apache application or standard and an application. So you need to download this Subversion package. And really how to do it, I can work it from a command prompt. Once you have installed it, you can start a command prompt in Windows. This is what I do, that's what I feel most comfortable with. So this is instructions I have given here. You can put it anywhere. It will download a lot of files. Well, not that many files, but at least 20 or so. So go to a directory where you would like to have it installed, and then use the command svn and check out. So we're checking out from the repository, and this is the address of the repository. If you use another, if you don't like using a command line for this, there is GUI graphical applications that can do the same. The keyword is here that this is the address you need to get when you fetch the application. So this is actual Python code you need. It also says Windows and exe file, and I tried to do that, try to make that following this recipe here, but I couldn't get it to work on my Windows, so why not use the real Python source code? And you can see what it is, and you can even modify it if you want. So that's what I would recommend you to do right now. So, and how to start it? I have, of course, fetched it. So I will use a terminal, and it looks exactly like this on your computer too. I will just I will open a terminal here on my computer called Mars. I've installed it in a different directory, but basically I will go to the subdirectory called Regbot GUI. You can find it in the file browser too. And if I list what's in here, I am actually on this computer, it's a Linux computer, so you would say dir if you are on a Windows computer, but as we are on a Linux computer, I will say ls and -l. Then I will get a list of all the files, and that's really too many because I've been using this directory a number of times, but you can see there is a number of Python files, and there is especially one called this is a green one, of course, yeah, Regbot.pi, and that's the primary one. So you could say Python and Regbot.py, or you can use the file manager and execute this one. I think most of them will figure out how that works, and then that will start this application. And this is the GUI that runs, and I can connect using USB. I had one connected, but will not use USB. That requires you remove the cable between the Raspberry Pi and the Regbot part of the robot to do that. So that's not what we'll do here. We'll use network, and if you look at a small display on top of the robot, you will find the IP address. I know what it is. It's 192.168.2.144. It will not be that address for you, because that depends on where the Wi-Fi on the Raspberry Pi, which access point is connected to. And this is the IP it got here on my home access point. So I will click this and see if I can get in contact with it. It says it's called Molly, but it isn't. It's called Melina. And it sometimes showed the wrong name at the beginning, but if you then flip between some of these tabs, then it will request the right name and get it, especially this robot tab. So now I'm in contact with the robot, and I can use the remote control that comes with the robot. This is the Melina one I've got here. So I press the big button in the middle, and then I should have remote control access to it. And if I try and move it, you can see that it moves, but you can also see on the screen the track. I'm moving in a circle. I can use a circle the other way around, or use run straight and try to get back to the same position as we were when we started. Yeah, something like that. So we can see we have real-time contact with the robot. I can reset this and remove the old track. So now we are getting to the calibration,